last night you guys did research on 3 different pieces. Raise your hand if you did them all on the same person or topic. Okay, raise your hand if you did your 3 pieces on different people or topics. Okay, that's okay. For today, you're just gonna pick one of them to use, okay? All right, so my goal right now is to have you think about your research that you did last night, and let's take that out, have it available, and also, Riley, don't worry about that. We're gonna start with a quick pre-write about your person or issue.
So for the lit homework, the 2 poems.
Yeah.
So if I did one about my grandmother and one about my mom, can I make another one about like my other side of grandparents?
Yeah, if they're gonna be here for sure. Because they'll be on the wall and they'll be disappointed if you don't have one for them and you have one for the others. Okay, John?
So in first class, we're like doing just one for my mom.
Okay, fine. That's good. All right, so what I want you to do is take out your notes that you did last night, the 3 separate articles or websites or videos, whatever you did. Raise your hand if you did Malala. Raise your hand if you did ocean cleanup. Raise your hand if you did animals. Raise your hand if you did Iqbal or Craig Kilberger. Okay. So you just pick one that you know you feel most comfortable with. All right. So what I want you to focus on from what you learned last night, there are 3 questions that we need to focus on. So when you are going to profile a person, like as a reporter, as a person, on the floor, please. If you're going to be the writer for a profile, these are the things you need to focus on. And that means like a biography, basically, of a person. What is especially significant or compelling about this person? What makes this person stand out? For Malala, she was 12. She was shot in the head. She became a target for an entire organization of terrorists. What makes her significant? She was dedicated. She was courageous. She didn't give up even in the face of being shot or killed. She was not scared, or not to say she wasn't scared, but she was brave in the face of all of this. What is his or her legacy or contribution? What are they leaving behind? What are they organizing to be their, what we remember them by? Okay, what is surprising about the person? Any oddities or differences about them? Malala, she was 12. Iqbal, he was 12. Wasn't he 12?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, or even 10 when he escaped. So, what was amazing about this person? What makes them stand out? If you're doing Craig Kilberger, he was your age. He was 12 when he went to India by himself or with a couple of cameramen for 7 weeks to research. That's a big step when you're 12 and you've never ridden the subway by yourself, right? That's a lot of scary decisions to make as you travel around the world in other countries by yourself. What story, anecdote, scene captures the person? What was the turning point? What was the big deal? For Malala, it could be that point where someone came to her and said, "I'm so sorry, you don't get to go to school anymore." And she had to decide, how do I feel about this? What am I going to do about it? And maybe it was the point where she was approached when she was sitting in the bus and they had guns to her head. What was the turning point? What was the big thing that was a big deal for them? Okay, so do you all have a teen activist in mind that you researched yesterday, probably? Elise, yes? Okay, good. So what I want you to do, I'm going to give you about 15 minutes. I need you to turn to a fresh page. Have your notes handy so that either you can flip back and forth or they're next to you. And would you put today's date, March 22nd? You don't have to leave a blank page this time. You're just going to do a free write. That's just like sentences, not bullets, sentences, where I include this information. It's not going to be like a 1, 2, 3 question and answer, but I'm going to do a free write about, in my case, I would do Malala, and include this information. I might start by talking about this stuff. These are the buckets, how I organized all my information. What happened to her? She's a Pakistani girl. She was 16 years old. She was targeted by the Taliban. She was shot, but she's still alive. The two gunmen shot her when she was going home from school in an open air bus that kind of looks like a truck with benches on the sides. The bullet went into her head but missed her brain, and she refused to die. She had surgery in England and a lot of nerve damage, but now she seems to be okay. What is she fighting for? That's the significance. From the hospital in England, she said, I want to save the people. I want every girl and every child to be educated. She set up this fund to educate girls. That's her legacy. That's what a legacy is. Right here, what is this person's legacy or contribution? She's setting this up. Even if she was shot tomorrow or killed tomorrow, she has this to live on as something that's important to her that somebody else can pick up and take and keep going. Pick up the ball and keep running. She wants these 32 million girls who are not in school to get an education. She's fighting for the rights of others all over the world, not just her, but everybody like her. Okay, and then what makes her special? She became a symbol. She started a movement. People are chanting, writing, marching. They're behind her, they're supporting her. Even after she was targeted for advocating for girls' education, she continues to do it. She didn't stop. She kept fighting, she kept speaking out, she kept making her thing known. Okay, same with Iqbal. Okay, he kept traveling and talking to people. Eventually he had to go home and face and keep going with what he started. Okay, so knowing even though they are still a target, they keep going. They keep fighting for what they believe in, and their story lives on. So I want you to do the same about your person. Do a free write. Give as much information that you have right now about that thing or person. Yeah.
So if you're doing like the child labor one, would you choose Iqbal or the Craig
Kielburger. Either one. I think Iqbal inspired Craig Kielburger. He's the teen activist that sort of picked up where Iqbal left off. Yeah.
Can I write a composition? Am I allowed to use pen?
Do you not have a pencil? I don't have a pencil for you. There might be one over there. There might be one over there. I prefer that you don't use pencil. All right, so I'm gonna give you 15 minutes only. So let's go until 10:37. And then I'm gonna ask you to wrap it up. Okay, so turn to that free page. If you wanna start organizing your notes for a minute or two, that's fine. But let's just get writing in a free write. Just teach somebody about what you learned who didn't follow up with that person.
Is there like any kind of
Joseph, put today's date, and the title might be the name of the person. Okay, so just do a quick write. It's not graded, just get all your ideas out.
Should we do this?
Okay, and you can cover. Do you do 3? Okay, you have to homework. Okay, so you did do 3. Okay, so why don't we pick a person with the names? Do you want to do, you can read one book if you want. How about animals? Do you want to do animals? Or Alex Lynn, who's the e-waste? Okay. It's okay. Yes, yes.
We could use like confirmation that we haven't got yesterday, so I only gave it one.
No. No, that's not. You just do it for that in the beginning. Write as much as you can. Keep focusing on those 3 questions if you need to. They're on the wall.
Do you have any use for those, like when they open and faded
When they turn violet. Or this, the cleaner and her floor. Okay, so, did you do one, did you do at least two? Okay, pick one. Just pick one. Okay, 5 more minutes. Make sure you hit at least those 3 questions on the wall there.
So what was different or surprising about the first? Okay. I was surprised that he had the science knowledge to figure that out. And it's not that old. And to figure out that it's something that, scientists all over the world haven't been able to do yet. The science knowledge you have to separate the sea life from the plastic and gathering it with the tide and everything. And that was something that's not new. And then like, how do you figure out to make it? That would be really special. But one thing that was idea is how to make it. It's not like you just go to the factory and have it, right there. So, what surprised you about him or what did you think was cool about him? And then the last one is like, what story anecdote or scene that captured the person felt like, maybe what did he, how did it interesting, like what happened, like he thought he solved the problem. Because he was so perfect, and he was in the middle of it. Yeah. He was in Belgium, fancy care.
Bless you.
And it's like just something that happened with a side note.
Okay, can we wrap up your writing? Okay. Okay, sorry to interrupt you. I'll let you have another minute there later if you need it. But if you wouldn't mind giving me your attention up here. Raise your hand if you know what a parable is. What's a parable? No. Okay. A parable is like, there's a lot in the Bible. They're like lessons. They're stories that have a moral lesson, okay, or something to learn from it. All right, so I'm going to read to you a poem. It's actually a story, but it's in a poem form for this one. And then you guys can figure out how this might apply to what we're doing. All right, so this is The Blind Men and the Elephant. Okay, and I think in this version, there's 6 blind men. Oftentimes, there's only 3 blind men. But here it is. It was 6 men of Indostan, to learning much inclined. That means they like to learn. Who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. So they can't see, but they're going to try to figure out, what is this elephant? The first approached the elephant, and happening to fall against his broad and sturdy side, at once began to bawl. God bless me, but the elephant is very like a wall. So the first guy happened to fall against the elephant. He's like, oh, this is like a big wall. Okay, so that's how he sees the elephant. The second man, feeling of the tusk, cried, ho, what have we here? So very round and smooth and sharp, to me, 'tis mighty clear. This wonder of an elephant is very like a spear. Okay, so he sees the tusk and thinks that, oh, an elephant is like a spear. That's what it is. The third approached the animal, and happening to take the squirming trunk within his hands, thus boldly up and spake, that's not really a word. I see, quoth he, the elephant is very like a snake. All right, so he only touched the trunk and thought it was like a snake. The fourth reached out an eager hand and felt about the knee. What most this wondrous beast is like is mighty plain, quoth he. 'Tis clear enough the elephant is very like a tree. So he feels the knee of the elephant and thinks it's like a tree trunk. The fifth, who chanced to touch the ear, said, e'en the blindest man can tell what this resembles most. Deny the fact who can, this marvel of an elephant is very like a fan. So the ear of the elephant is a fan. The sixth, no sooner had begun about the beast to grope, than seizing on the swinging tail that fell within his scope, I see, quoth he, the elephant is very like a rope. So each of these 6 men felt a different part of the elephant and identified it as a different thing. And so these men of Indostan disputed loud and long, each in his own opinion, exceeding stiff and strong, though this was partly in the right and all were in the wrong. So oft in theologic wars, the disputants, I ween, rail on in utter ignorance of what each other mean, and prate about an elephant not one of them has seen. So they're all bickering and arguing, steadfast in what they think is the right thing that the elephant is, even though none of them have seen a whole elephant, and they only have their small little piece of what they've touched or seen in their way. So how does this relate to what we are doing?
That each person much to do is they'll share to like a huge elephant with a huge idea. Like if I recycle paper, it will help the whole general idea of recycling.
Okay, that's true, but let's apply it to what we did last night, what we're doing in our writing. Yes, that's true. Each person does their part and it makes it better for the whole. But let's look at how does this apply to the research we're doing?
Like how we interpret it would be totally different than how other people will like interpret information that we get.
Okay, good.
The little piece is kind of like what you know,
Yeah.
and then other people might know a little, but then when you kind of like put it together, it's something like bigger and like an idea.
Makes a bigger picture, right? Okay, so you can't just look at the tusk or the ear or the tail. You have to look at the whole beast, right? You have to see the whole picture. Okay, it's not okay to see one little, 3-minute clip about something, say Malala or Iqbal or anybody else or anything else, and think you know everything there is to know. Because you don't. You probably don't. And it's really important to make sure you get lots of broad information about everything about the whole subject or topic. And also listen to what other people see it as. What are all the different opinions? What do they all agree on? And what do they see differently? Do they all agree that, this is a problem? Are there some people who think it's not a problem? And how do they see it differently? In what ways? Okay, so it's really important that when you guys are doing your research, last night I asked you to do 3 different articles, videos, pieces that you found on the topic or person. We're going to continue that work, but it's also important that you expand it a little bit. That you're not just going after the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. If you keep running into the same information, that's probably a good sign. It probably means that all these people agree and see it the same way. But you also need to make sure you see the opposite perspectives, that you see all sides of it, not just one approach. Okay, so what I want to focus on here is as we're researching these people and these issues, we're also learning how to note take like crazy. We're trying to take down notes so that we get all this information and we remember the important stuff, and we're piecing everything together, okay, to create that broader picture for ourselves. And so coming back to these notes, we talked yesterday that when we take notes, when we're reading, when we have a video, when we're interviewing somebody, you have to write fast. They're not going to wait for you, and you can't stop somebody mid-thought and say, hold on, let me write that down. They're not going to. Okay, record all the important facts, the names, the places, the numbers. Remember that 32 million girls didn't go to school. That's an important number. That's what she's after. So make sure you have the exact names. Spell her name correctly. Capture quotes if possible and in the context of what they said. Note what you said and what you see. Did we watch the clip with Jon Stewart yesterday?
Yeah.
The Comedy Central guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's important to note, how does he respond to this 12-year-old girl? That's kind of indicative of how big it is that what she's done. So how people respond to these kids or people is really important. So noting the emotion involved, how people are responding or treating this person. So recording your ideas, like how you feel and how you see what's happening. Pause early to organize your information. That's putting these into the buckets. Organize your bits of information into groups that kind of go together in ways that you can explain it clearly. Okay, you might have to stop, organize, and then add to those buckets or to those columns. Okay. So now I've kind of had these buckets. I can add more as I do more information tonight. I get more information about this situation. I can add more. Maybe I can add more about Swat Valley and what it was like, what the Taliban were doing there. And maybe I can add more in each of these buckets. Asking yourself these questions. These are important questions. Why do we care? Why do we still want to get more information? Is this important enough? Is this person significant? Why? What's surprising or different about this person as opposed to you or me, right? Well, I didn't start an entire world on a movement to help girls go to school. And I didn't get Oprah on board so that she could pay for all these schools that I plan to open, right? If you research Craig Kielburger, he was 12 when he went to India. He was 16 or 15, I think, when he was on Oprah. And then she started to partner with him to open 600 schools. It's a lot of schools. So I didn't do anything like that. That's super cool. That is something significant. That's a legacy that he's going to leave behind. Iqbal, he was shot and killed when he was your age. But you know what? He picked up the ball. Craig Kielburger, there was a legacy there. He heard about it. Iqbal got the message out so somebody else could continue the work. Okay, so now it's bigger than just him. Even though he's not alive anymore, somebody else cares enough to further the cause. Okay, so pause to organize your information, ask these questions, make sure that you have those answers, and think about what big things am I teaching others? What is the big picture that's important here? Okay, questions so far? We only have, what, 10 minutes? Is that right? Do we go to 11? Okay, so what I want you to do is with your writing, and you're going to teach your partner about what you learned, okay? And you want to make sure you're able to be clear about these things. It may be that your note-taking last night or what you were able to get from the 3 pieces that you found is not enough, okay? And if you want to continue to research this particular person or issue tonight or in the next couple days, tell your partner, what is it that you need more information about? Where are you going next? What bits of information do you want to get more about? And if you plan to, like, oh, who's this Iqbal kid? I want to research that kid instead. Maybe, you know, go down that road. Or maybe you're inspired by what they're going to tell you about and you want to research that person. That's okay to switch people. But talk to your partner about what research you would like to continue on to next, okay? So I'm going to have you just go with the person of your same gender that's sitting next to you. And you can go with, how about you go with, who did you're doing Malala? Why don't you go with these girls because she's doing Malala as well. All right, so I'm going to give you 10 minutes max to talk to your person, 5 minutes each, to teach them about what you learned, and then tell them where you're going next with your research. Okay? You may find a spot in the room. Go. I'll give you after 5 minutes. I'll first.
Always like our signature spot to sit in the corner, like YouTubers. I'm a YouTuber. I posted it's me. I posted the video. What was his nickname? Yeah. He's a good YouTuber. I'm gonna make that look. It's gonna be uploaded Go. Malala is a 16-year-old Pakistani She was shot in the head while in an open stand in District Ready. She refused to die, so she went to treatment surgery, and then she came to US for rehabilitation. And before she got shot, when she was about to get shot, she refused to use violence. So she tried to talk to him, but it didn't matter. So what is she fighting for? Malala is fighting for girls and children's education. She set up a fund for education around the world. The goal is to educate 32 million uneducated girls. The legacy is a Malala flag. So if she died, it would still be able to carry out her symbols. She symbolizes hope because she started a revolution of ideas and politics of movement. She symbolizes bravery. She still fights on, even after being targeted and shot. And she also symbolizes hope for all girls because she wants to educate everyone. And she tried to keep oh yeah, she before. So she lived in Swat Valley, which was a beautiful valley until Taliban started savaging them. I mean, I can look at it. Okay, so I'm like, wait, I'm not done. My YouTube video is getting bad. What inspired her? When she was in school, she didn't think much of it, but like she said, you don't know the importance of something until it's taken away. After the Taliban shut her school down, she started fighting for women's rights and education.
Craig Kielburger, a 12-year-old boy, was flipping through a newspaper one day when he saw an article about how Iqbal Masai, a 12-year-old boy, had been murdered. Iqbal was 12 when he was born, and he was sold into slavery when he was born to pay off a $12
And you might want to have different, like, if this were me and I was starting to organize my work, I would probably just add to my bucket. Step 2.
And then Paul spoke up to human rights because he was once in child labor, and then he got killed for doing it. Craig Kielburger wanted to do something because he could have been Iqbal. Families, at first, Craig thought, I am only one person. How will my voice be heard? Then he convinced fellow 7th graders and Free the Children was born. To help them both free the children and free the children. Their mission to free children and their families from poverty and exploitation.
Since we started focusing, what's exploitation?
I don't know, just said it. Okay. I think it's cool a 12-year-old boy like us could do that. Craig was inspired and he heard about people standing up to human rights and getting more and Craig Kielburger is like a symbol because he started a school for both girls and boys, and there's like 90 people who attend it.
I think you should talk about Oprah.
Except I was like, okay, I'll try like 2 sentences about like people and stuff, and I was like, okay, on to Oprah.
Okay, switch if you haven't both had a chance to share.
Oh yeah, I remember that article. And then Wellington Webb. We learned everything completely.
Yeah, I know. Like you said, was doing exactly.
Over. Wait, are we supposed to switch partners?
No, just switch with your buddy. So you both had a chance to talk.
We've already done that.
You've already talked, come on back.
That looks so wrong, the picture on the board.
Girls like, oh, I don't want to feel.
I don't want to feel the chaos. I want to feel the trunk.
I want to feel the good.
Wait, so
Where does Malala live? Like the country?
Pakistan? Okay,
Oh my gosh.
so I thought I would share with you, raise your hand if you did Craig Kielburger. Did we talk about him yesterday?
No.
No, okay. So I'll share with you one other teen activist. He started when he was 12 and he was your age and went to India. He had heard about this kid, Iqbal, who was sold into, his family could not afford a debt that they had in India. And the family gave Iqbal, the child, he was 4, as like a worker, a slave worker, to pay off their debt. And even still, they couldn't pay it off because of the way they, anyway, they don't pay the child laborers enough to get out of that problem. So it's a pretty sad story that doesn't really solve any problem. So this is Craig, and this is, I think, when he was 12. This first part's just getting camera ready.
Should we take notes?
Yeah, let's take notes on this one.